So could you just explain for the viewers what exactly you do on Twitch?
So on Twitch, I have a music channel where I have taken my piano bar show that I usually do live and translated it to Twitch. The only difference I would say between what I do live and what I do on Twitch, when I perform live, it's usually just perform song after song after song. With Twitch, it's a lot more talking. It's a lot more getting to know people. It's a lot more interactive, and I get to do full musicals every so often, full movies. Like I get to really kind of experiment with what I'm capable of.
How long have you been streaming for?
I started in July of 2020.
Oh, so not too long then.
No, it's all really new to me, and it was a lot for me to pick it all up because I didn't come from a technological background at all, so I had quite a lot to learn from a person who'd only done things live to being a person who had to kind of figure it all out really quickly.
Like when you started, was it really difficult?
I wouldn't say it was really difficult, but I would say when I first started, I was technologically overwhelmed. I used to stream when I first started streaming in July. I did not have a camera, I did not have a streaming computer. I streamed off of my cell phone on a little dinky tripod. Well, actually, no, 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 wait. When I first started streaming, I was using chip bag clips to hold my phone up. Then I then I invested in a tripod like 2 weeks later. So it was just my cell phone on a tripod and it was crashing all the time. Like streaming on your phone is great, but you just crash constantly. It's horrible. And it would take me a lot of times to get it going, like where people couldn't hear my audio. So I'd have to restart. It was a humongous pain in the ass those first few shows. And I didn't really know what I was doing. The language was so foreign to me, things like bits and raids and hosts and all the language that Twitch has. And over time, I figured it out. I started spending more time on the platform and learning how to do all the things. And even now, a lot of people would say my show is pretty advanced now. I think I'm still light years behind a lot of the people I watch.
What was it that made you want to start streaming?
So initially, I actually started streaming on Facebook, and it was not about anything other than I'd just been going batshit crazy in my house. When quarantine hit, I'd been in London. So when I came home, I had to completely isolate. I wasn't allowed to leave my house at all. So I kind of lost my shiz and I was like, let's just go live on Facebook for the first time because I need to see people. And after that was such a big hit, I was streaming on Facebook for a couple months, and my friend who had joined Twitch, Missy Alcazar Music, reached out and was like, you should be on Twitch.
So would
And
you
I
say it's like mainly because of the pandemic?
Oh, it's 100% because of the pandemic. Um, and honestly, I'm grateful for it because as much as the pandemic is terrible and I've lost my livelihood and my career, I never would have discovered Twitch otherwise. And I really love it. Like, I don't see this as a temporary thing anymore. I see this as a thing I'm going to do forever.
So before the pandemic, had you never really thought about starting to stream or anything?
I had never thought about going virtual, to be honest, before the pandemic. And whenever I say this, it sounds very arrogant, but I was in very, very high demand. I had to turn down work all the time. I was working 7 days a week, sometimes 3 gigs a day. I was an insanely in demand performer before the pandemic. So I never had time to think about anything else. And then on top of that, so on top of the fact that I was constantly gigging, I was also writing shows, and I never had time for myself ever.
Would you
So
want to stream full time?
I do want to stream full time, but I know that when my gigs come back, I'm still going to be doing that part time. I don't think, as much as I love Twitch and I want that to be my full time job, I don't think it could ever completely take the place of what live gigging means to me and has for my entire life.
Will you still just plan on carry on streaming once
Oh, yeah.
things get better?
I love streaming. And what's amazing about it is I was kind of looking for a break because that's really the thing, like, yes, I love live gigging, but not 7 days a week, not 3 gigs in a day. It was killing me how often I was doing it. Whereas if Twitch is my full-time thing, I could take, a few gigs here and there, but it doesn't have to be the full-time thing. It's draining.
Would you want to expand onto any other platforms like YouTube?
So what I would love to happen, but I just don't think it's ever going to happen. But my dream would be if my parody musicals would someday get bigger on YouTube. I put so much money into my parody musicals, and I think those videos are great, and people just don't watch them. And it's heartbreaking because it's not even just that like, oh, my songs are so good. It's not even that. The actors that I worked with, the directors I worked with, the producers I worked with, they put together such incredible work that no one is seeing. And I don't know how to do that. But here's what's kind of nice. So even on Twitch, it's a lot of networking. And I've been meeting a lot of new friends. And all these new people are giving me all this advice on what I should be doing with YouTube and just all the other projects I've worked on over the years. Like I'm making connections that really understand things that I don't understand.
Would you say that's the worst part about streaming? Just putting all the effort in and not really getting much back?
Well, that's what's so funny. So I've been really lucky with Twitch in that all the effort I've put in has paid off, but I know people that it's just not paying off for. And I sort of make it my weird mission to help those people when I see people that, will always have like 4 to 5 people watching and their show's awesome. So I tend to try to help where I can, but I've been very lucky. My work paid off. I mean, even my very first show on Twitch had 12 people watching, which I hear is huge for a first show. So I feel quite lucky with Twitch, but with YouTube, YouTube is like horrible. It either just happens naturally or it just doesn't ever. And it's frustrating. Like
What would you say that makes you different from other streamers?
well, there's a few things that make me different from the streamers I've discovered. I didn't realize very, very few streamers do full movies or full musicals reenacted on stream. I see that as a missed opportunity because it's a fun thing that people can redeem. And, I mean, it's hard. Don't get me wrong. Like tomorrow I'm doing a Harry Potter musical and the amount of preparation I've been putting in has been just hours and hours of a lot of work, but I think it's going to be brilliant. And I like that I get to do things that are different. The other thing that sets me apart is well, two things. One, I'm an expert in Disney and musical theater. I've seen some Disney and musical theater streamers on Twitch. I still haven't seen anybody who's got as much on their playlist as me. That's the second part. I've got roughly like 2,800 songs on my song list, and that's kind of just the tipping point. There's more. I can't always think of songs at the time when I'm making my song lists. And yeah, I have a lot of music that I know how to play.
So how does it feel to have 2.5k followers on Twitch now?
I mean, it's awesome. And I'll tell you, not even the 2.5k followers, what I think is kind of incredible, and it's the magic of Twitch. You don't even have to be viral like, YouTube kind of requires to make any money. With Twitch, if you want to make a living, they said, and I read an article about this from the creators, you just need 100 dedicated fans. That's really it. And I've got probably, I'd say roughly like 75 like devoted fans that will show up to anything I do. And I think that's really rewarding that I have people that care that much. And like this year they sent me like Christmas gifts, and I don't know, you feel more like people are your family than just,
What's some advice that you'd give to smaller streamers?
The biggest advice that I give, and I give it all the time and people don't listen and it's frustrating. I've talked to a lot of streamers about this and I said, you can't just stream. You have to spend a lot of time on the platform. And it's not about, people will just pop into a stream and be like, hi, I'm a streamer. I'm like, no, that doesn't work. When I first got started, I was just trying to meet people and get to know them. So I would go to the same streams a lot for a while. Like I picked, I think like 10 people that I really liked their stuff. And I would go and hang out and genuinely just hang out. No ulterior motive, no, but you should come check out my show. Just get to know them. And over time, I got to know them really well. And a lot of times they'll just come check you out because they've been talking to you for a while. And if they like you, they'll tell their followers to come follow you. But it's a more natural friendship. So I spent a lot of time after those 10, then, I got to know them really well. I started branching out to another 10 people I got to know really well. And then I started hanging out in Discord with, my fans and followers. And it's a slow build, but it's very much like putting in the time and the relationships. People are like, oh, how do you get rated so much? I'm like, I know every one of these people rating me. They're friends. They're people I spend a lot of time in their stream. So that's I really think the difference. And a lot of small streamers, they, I've watched it. I've watched this behavior. I've seen it where I'll be in a stream and I'll see a small streamer come in and go, hi, I'm a streamer. And it's just not the etiquette. It's not supposed to be about self-promotion. It's about, connecting with other people and getting to know each other.
Is there anything you wish that you did differently?
Oh yes, 1000%. I wish that in the very early stages that I had started building up my set as far as my cameras and all my stuff, because so many times early on in Twitch, like I had these incredible opportunities that happened that I wasn't prepared for. I got rated, God, it was like 2 months into streaming, I got rated with 700 people and I wasn't ready. I had this, you know, crashing show, really low quality. I didn't know what I was doing. And I kind of wish I'd really started investing sooner. I wish I'd started sooner. There's so many things I wish I could have done sooner, but right now I have no regrets for where I'm at and what I'm doing, and just hope I keep growing as a streamer. I love it.
Would you say that streaming's changed you in a way?
I think it's completely changed me. Before this, basically my goal was like, I'm going to make it in entertainment. I have to make it in entertainment. Like, this is what I'm going to do with my life. And I was so obsessed with working in the entertainment industry. And now Twitch has kind of made me realize what I really love is connecting with my audience. That's what I really love, is connecting with people and being a healing source for them with music.
Yeah, I just love how interactive Twitch can be because people can like message and you can respond to them.
I
There's like
feel like
so many
you're
different
like you're
ways.
hanging out in person. I've said this a lot. One of my favorite streamers, Michael Barnum, when I'm hanging out in a stream, like it feels like we're just hanging out having a conversation. And it does. It doesn't feel like he's a streamer and I'm an audience member. It feels like I'm there and we're kicking it.
Yeah, it's just very casual. So what would you say your day-to-day life is like?
My day-to-day life has gotten really busy because of Twitch. And honestly, I feel like I'm not even doing enough what I say I'm doing, like going to visit my friends' shows anymore, which I really should be doing. But my days have just gotten so busy. So 2 days a week I teach and then stream because I'm a music teacher as well. And then 2 days a week I'm with my family all day. I watch my sister's kids and I'm with them from sun up till sundown the next day. So I really only have the weekends to get anything done. And on the weekends I've got Friday nights we hang out in Discord with my Twitch fam and we all like kick it and get to know each other and hang out. So Fridays are like, and then the mornings are all running errands. Saturdays I stream, and then I usually have plans in the evening. Sunday's my one day off, and it fills up so fast, like so fast. So I just find that I have limited time, and so it's usually the weekends that I'm desperately trying to make it to all my friends' shows and catch up, and it's a lot. It's a lot. I don't have as much free time as I used to, ironically.
Do you have any aspirations unrelated to streaming?
I mean, my dream since I was young, I've always wanted to write for television. I don't know that it will ever happen. I got really close before pandemic, like really close, and then it just didn't happen. Um, I've always wanted to kind of, well, not write, I guess more produce more, but work for TV, and I got so close. I don't know when things come back how possible that's going to be, or how much I'm just going to be kind of staying over on the Twitch side. But I could see how Twitch could transition to regular television. It's a similar idea. It's a similar concept of creating shows and getting people to come watch it every week.
Do you see yourself doing that in the future? Like, where would you see yourself in like 10 years?
I mean, this is going to sound silly. I don't really plan 10 years in the future anymore. Pandemic kind of changed the game. I used to plan 5, 10, 20 years ahead, and I just don't want to anymore because I saw that you can have all these plans and things just fall apart. The world is a very unstable place right now, especially here in America. We've got just complete civil unrest. We've got half the country that wants to go to war with the other half because they didn't get their way and they're in a cult. So it's a very scary time to be in America. And um, I truly think making plans is going to be really hard for me. So I'm just taking things a day at a time. I plan so much as like maybe a month or two ahead, but not much more. I have no idea when I'll be able to travel again, no idea when I'll be able to go back to work again. So it's very hard to plan things. But the next thing I do have planned, and I'm very excited, I'm going to be doing what I call my Twitch national tour, where I want to go all across the country and meet up with different streamers and do collaboration streams.
That sounds really fun. When do you
Um,
plan on doing it?
Over the summer, I'm trying, basically, it's planning. I can't even start planning until I get my vaccination, but as soon as I'm vaccinated, I'm going to start setting dates.
Sounds good. What's the question that you're asked most often?
Uh, the question I would say I get asked most often is, how long have you been playing piano? People always want to know about how I got where I am, which I find so fascinating because I find that I'm not a very strong piano player. I am and I'm not. I'm very comfortable with this instrument, yes. and I can play pretty much any pop song that exists and any musical theater song that exists. But would I consider myself an accomplished pianist? No. I stopped my lessons when I was a little kid, and I started going off on my own just because I wanted to learn the songs I wanted to learn. And I never got that really firm classical background and training. So because I wasn't disciplined, I don't have some of the technique that I've seen from people like my friend Sweet Kun Kun's a classical pianist, Laura 6683. Like there's so many different piano players that are very disciplined and everything they play is perfect. I don't think there's anything I can play perfectly. Everything I play, there's a few wrong notes in there always because I'm just kind of winging it and having fun. Um, and it sounds good to untrained ears, and that's fine. You know, I've made a career out of this for the last 20 years of my life, but it bums me out that I don't have that strong ear to really get it precise and get the technique accurate. I think that's going to always be a pet peeve of mine. And you might say, well, why not now? Honestly, it's kind of too late. You have to get those patterns in those habits in early. It's very, very hard to start learning discipline at 35 years old.
To be honest, I don't know much about piano, so when I watch your streams, it just sounds like perfect and effortless to me.
Well, for the most part, I always say it is perfect because whatever I'm playing is the right notes. I teach my kids that because I'm a piano teacher, and I said, if you play the wrong notes, don't ever let people know you played the wrong notes. Pretend they're the right notes, and they will be. And it's a great way to get through pop and jazz music. Does not work in classical, but it works in what I do. I always make it work. So if I hit a wrong chord, I just use that chord to transition into the right chord and act like I meant to do that. And I think that comes from years of practice in this kind of work. I've been doing this work forever. It's wild. I mean, this goes all the way back to me being 13 years old. That's when I started gigging. I played for my school choir. I played for the local church. I was in a local church band. I played with our jazz band, which we used to go on gigs with our jazz band in my high school, which is, I mean, we played hotels and stuff. Like that was my life. We played Disneyland. We played everywhere. So I've been performing since I was 13 live.
So you just always wanted to perform for people.
Yeah, I mean it was a combination of wanting to, but people wanting it from me. Because there were years where I tried to step away and not do it anymore, and just wouldn't let me. um, it's a weird concept. It has always felt kind of like something I needed to do, whether or not I wanted to. And the things I wanted kind of faded in the background, and it became more about being of service to people, which honestly is a more fulfilling thing for me anyway. I like to be of service to others, so I'm not upset about that and how it worked out.
What's something you've never told your viewers before?
Ooh, that's tough. I feel like I'm very open with them. I tell them almost everything. I guess what I've never told them for, actually, you know what? I can think about something. I haven't really told them about when I used to really struggle with alcohol because I don't really talk about it much, but it was very much related to hurting me musically for a while. When I used to drink really heavily, it hurt my gigs. I mean, I would show up to gigs drunk. I lost really good gigs, good connections, good friendships that I made because I was just out of control. I used to live in England for a while. I did tell them I lived in England for a while, but I didn't tell them that I was completely wasted the entire time I lived there. And I think the reason I don't like to talk about it is because it undermines people that are dealing with real alcoholism. I don't consider mine real. I consider that kind of a dark time in my life, but I got out of it really quickly. When the doctor said I had to stop drinking, I stopped drinking. It wasn't like I had to go to rehab or anything. So I try not to undermine how serious that is for a lot of people, which is probably why I don't talk about it much on stream.
How did you get through it?
I mean, honestly, it was as simple as the doctor saying you're going to die if you don't stop drinking. You have, what was it called? Pancreatitis. They're like, you will die. You have to stop. And so I stopped for a long time. I was sober for a few years. And when I came back to drinking, I just kind of knew what the rules were. You can't take a bunch of shots. You can't just like drink hard alcohol straight. You can have a cocktail and sip on it. That is what you were allowed to do. And it took me a while to learn what moderation was. And once I got it, I've had it my whole life now. Moderation is, I wish I could apply it to other things like Girl Scout cookies, but I learned it with alcohol.
What's some general advice about life that you'd want to give to your viewers?
My general advice, and this is advice I give to every person that I meet. At the end of the day, you can't control everything. So many things are out of your control. And we spend so much time obsessed about the things we have no control over. Focus on the things you do have control over. I know this sounds very AA, but it's good advice. Focus on the things you actually can control. Don't get upset about things you have no control over. You know, I see a lot of people getting upset about things like, oh my God, do you know what's going on inside? And I'm like, cool. Do you have any control over that? Cool. Don't let it monopolize your day. They get very upset if, you know, a person was saying something nasty about them. I'm like, do you have any control over that? You don't? Great. Let it go. Focus on the things you have control over. It won't make you stress as much. And of course, this is new advice because this is new to me. I just started meditation every morning about a month ago, and it's been a game changer. I highly recommend people meditate in the morning. There's a site called Great Meditation, and they do 10-minute meditations on YouTube. It helps you get centered and present and focused to start your day. It's all about positivity and gratitude and being connected to your body. It's changed how my days go.
What's your main goal when you're streaming?
My main goal when I'm streaming is to make every person feel like they have a safe place they can go and have fun and feel at home. It's funny because this is kind of, so before pandemic, I worked at this piano bar called Tramp Stamp Granny's in Hollywood. It was this musical theater piano bar, kind of designed for, you know, Disney musical theater nerds that just took off because it was celebrity backed. So I made it a goal that every person that came in there felt like a good friend to me, even if they were just random people coming through. I wanted them to feel like they could come in and hang out with their friends and be home whenever they walked through those doors. And I think that's the kind of vibe I'm always trying to create, that when somebody comes to my show, I know their name, I know what they like to hear. We have some banter, you know, I know who they are, not just me performing and, you know, minions watch away. I like to have that connection. It was the same way at Tramp Stamp Granny's. I'd have 300 people there and I would feel like I was talking to each and every one of them.
So are you not working part-time anymore? Is it just Twitch streaming that you're doing full-time now?
So yes and no, because I'm still doing my lessons, but that's not really full time. That's part time. But I'm going back to gigging next month, which a lot of people in my community are pissed off at me about. Not the ones who, because honestly, a lot of my piano player colleagues have already been just working full panic. They don't care. They just got sick and just kept going. But my friends that have been very cautious are upset with me that I'm considering going back to work because they think it's still way too early and, you know, the virus is still raging. But I've got some good offers and I plan on protecting myself and wearing my shield and my mask. And I want to go work. You know, if that's an option, I would like to work. I haven't worked in a year. I would like to. So I'll be going to Florida and Texas in March to go play. And I've given kind of my safety demands and I will do what I would do here. You know, I live in a COVID hotspot. I live in LA. We're the COVID hotspot of the nation. So like protect myself there the way I do here. I really don't see why everyone's kind of up in arms about it, but people are very sensitive about this stuff right now, especially people who have been, you know, haven't left their house. And there's a good percentage of people who haven't. A lot of people, so it's weird because I've noticed there's very much two camps on this. You know, there's the people who never leave their house and just get their groceries delivered and won't go anywhere. And then there's people who kind of just don't care and just do whatever they want anyway. And I'm this weird kind of hybrid where like I think I should be able to do whatever I want as long as I'm outdoors 6 feet away from people and have a mask on. I think I should be able to do whatever I want as long as those three guidelines are met. A lot of people think that's still not safe enough. That is their prerogative to feel that way. I don't feel that way. And I think we all kind of have our different ways of feeling. So I just recently heard, and I've gotten a lot of shit from everyone for this. Disneyland is reopening for dining. And Disney, I'm sure if you've ever been to my show, you know that Disney is my everything. I go to Disneyland usually monthly. So this has been something that's been deeply hurting to not be able to go. And now that I know they're opening live just for restaurants and dining, which I go to restaurants, I want to go. I want to go. I know it's going to be a lot of safety protocol. They're going to be out of control and it's going to be a lot. But when I sit down at Carthay and have that cocktail, it's going to feel like the world didn't just end, even though it kind of did.
I have to admit, I've never been to a Disneyland, so I have no idea what it's like.
Oh my God. Or what about any of the other Disneys? Disney World, Disneyland Paris?
No, never.
So good. Disney is the best. I'm such a Disney fan. I grew up on it. I grew up with my parents taking me when I was very little, and I've gone long since that stopped.
What do you think it is about Disney that made you like it so much?
Well, so when I was 9, my mother passed away. And at that point in time, I already pretty much was a gigantic Disney fan because I'd been introduced to it by my family. We went to Disneyland, we watched Disney movies. So I already was a fan. But then that was a big game changer because all these, at my school, nobody had lost their parents, nobody had lost a mother. It was very much something that was exclusive to me and I was very outcast because of. But then with Disney, they had all lost their parents, right? It was like all these single parent households. That's almost all Disney. Think about it, like Little Mermaid, Aladdin, Beauty and the Beast, all those kind of Renaissance movies that happened back to back were just one parent. You know, all the women had just one dad, right? In Beauty and the Beast, she just had her dad. Jasmine just had her dad. What's her face? Ariel just had her dad. So I felt really connected to that. And that was the year it all kind of happened for me. Um, so I found solace and comfort and relatability in Disney. It made me feel like that was my true family. And as time went on, I always, this is how I always equate Disney for people who don't get my Disney obsession. People love their escape, right? They love drugs, they love raves, they love sex, they love, big dinners, they love drinking a lot. Like everyone has their escape because life is hard. So everyone finds a way to escape. My escape has always been Disney. You go to this fantasy land of your childhood and everything is just perfect. And the smells are so comforting and the sounds and the feelings. Everything about it is comfort to me.
I love seeing the way they make the movies. It's really interesting.
Yeah, I love their movies. I love what they did with Coco. I watched the behind the scenes on that. That's incredible what they did there. It took them 10 years to make that film. So much planning.
Oh wow, I didn't know that. I've not seen the behind the scenes before. I just
Coco
love the songs from that movie.
Coco is incredible. It's such an underrated Disney film. People tend to gravitate towards the princess movies, which I get, but I love them all. Wally, Up, Toy Story. I mean, all of it. So good.
Which one would you say is the most underrated?
I think the most underrated is Oliver and Company. So Oliver and Company came out in, I believe it was the year I was born, 1985, or it was 87. It was really close to the time I was born. And Oliver and Company, the reason I think it's so underrated, first of all, you have Billy Joel doing one of the main voices, and you have Bette Midler doing one of the other main voices, and Joey Lawrence doing the other main voice, and Dom DeLuise doing another voice. Like there were some big, big stars that were in this movie. So that's number one. Number two, the music is so good. Number three, the whole opening scenes, all the backgrounds are done with watercolor. They're hand painted. I mean, it's beautiful, the aesthetic that they have going there. And it's really underrated. Most people I talk to haven't even seen it. But they do know that song, that "Why Should I Worry?" Like I get that request a lot. But yeah, it's a really underrated Disney film. Um, Obsessed. I really like a lot of that kind of era. We call it the lost era of Disney because the 70s and 80s, Disney didn't have any hits, none. So they were just losing tons of money on every release. So that's kind of considered Disney's lost era. There's basically four considered eras of Disney. There's the classic era, the lost era, the Renaissance era, and the modern era of Disney. And there's some great movies in the lost era. Robin Hood is one of my favorites. So good.
I don't think I've watched many of them.
You've probably seen all the Renaissance films. So like most people that know Disney by the Renaissance era because that was the most popular Disney's ever been. And that was Little Mermaid, which saved the company, then Aladdin, then Beauty and the Beast, then Lion King, then Pocahontas, then Tarzan, then Mulan, all kind of back to back, and Hercules, and that was all sort of like the Renaissance era for Disney, the rebirth of just hit after hit after hit. And then interestingly, they had another slump from 2000 to 2009. Once again, they were kind of making flops, and everything came back with 2009. They or 2009 and 10 when they did Princess and the Frog and Tangled. They started coming back to their roots, and now I think they've been crushing it the last decade. Everything that's come out, I love.
Do you remember watching your first Disney movie?
I want to say my first Disney movie, at least in theaters, was Little Mermaid because I remember being a child and watching Ursula get stabbed and how traumatic that was for me. But it's hard to remember because I started so young. My family will tell you that when I was a little baby, I was obsessed with Mary Poppins. It was all I would watch over and over and over and over. To this day, I still think Mary Poppins is the perfect Disney movie. I cannot find a flaw in it. It's so well done, um, through and through. The music, the acting, the half live action, half animated scenes. I mean, it's just a brilliant, brilliant movie.
Did you do the Disney dress ups as well?
I never got into Disney princess dresses.
Really?
It's funny because
Wow.
as an adult, I don't know if you know, but on my streams, I do like a lot of cosplays now. And that's something I had never done before Twitch. Never, never, never. Even Halloween, I really did the bare minimum. I never really got into cosplaying and, going full out. I can't believe I've never been dressed as a Disney princess, which is going to be happening soon on stream. One of my followers has redeemed points. They want me for their birthday to do a full Disney princess stream. So all Disney princess songs and be dressed as a Disney princess.
Do you know
So
which one you're going to be dressing up as?
yeah, I'm gonna do Belle. Belle's gonna be the easiest for me to do. And I relate to her a lot. Belle is all about reading and I feel like that's very me. She just likes her books. That's all she wants.
Think I have to say my favorite princess movie is Princess and the Frog.
I love that you said that because that is a grossly underrated movie. It's got Randy Newman tunes. It's set in New Orleans. It's amazing. Every character in that show is incredible. I mean, I love Ray. I love Louis. I love Tiana. Oh my God, her best friend is so good. Oh, this like Blanche Devereaux type character that they made for her best friend. So good. Um, God, even Dr. Facilier is such a fantastic villain. He's so intricate and complex. I think my only character that was pissing me off was Prince Naveen, but I got over it. I got over it. I was just like literally within the span of 10 minutes in the movie, he's this player who wants to hook up with all these girls and now he's in love with you within a span of 10 movie minutes. Just, men, but but that movie, all the music is fantastic. I think everybody knows Almost There, but they don't know all my other favorites like Ma Belle Evangeline, When We're Human, I'm gonna take you all the way down, or Down in New Orleans. Dig a little deeper. I play every song from that show.
Everything about that movie is just done so well.
Yeah, and doesn't it make you want those beignets so bad?
Yes, definitely.
Ugh, I want those. They look amazing. I was following one of those BuzzFeed Tasty channels, and there was somebody who was recreating all of the Disney things you see in movies, recreating all the dishes live. So they made like Ratatouille's Ratatouille. They made the beignets from Tiana. They made like all the kind of stuff you see on screen, which I thought was a really cool idea.
Oh wow, you should do a Disney cooking stream.
I mean, if I knew how to cook, I'm a really average cook. Um, I have thought about doing kind of different kinds of streams, but they just don't go well. Like I did a songwriting stream, which had been requested, by the way, by my followers to do a songwriting stream because I can teach songwriting. I've taught courses in it, and yeah, it was kind of depressing. Like very few people showed up. I think it was my lowest watched stream ever, and I don't know. It's hard for me to veer off what I do because every time I do, it hurts my viewership pretty hard. Even on Saturday, that was the lowest viewership I've ever had on a Saturday. And it's because I was dressed as Pumbaa and I looked really off putting. I had a giant warthog nose. It was, but it was redeemed. And I do like being able to give that kind of fan service to my fans that are willing to put in the channel points for that.
I'm surprised that would actually put some viewers off.
Yeah, I think they're used to me looking a certain way. You know, I usually look pretty cute on stream. I did not look cute as a warhog. I looked insane. It was an insane ask, like to be Pumbaa of all things. So many people, like when they heard I was doing Disney cosplay, people were like, "Oh, you're definitely going to be like a Disney princess, right?" And I was like, "Nope."
I think it just makes this stream seem more fun.
Yeah, well, I am kind of who I am, and I like being myself. I think at the end of the day, that's what's going to win me out in the long run. And you know what? It's going to take a long time to get to partner, and I've accepted that now. For some reason, because I saw so many of my friends get to partner quickly, I thought I could do it too. But I think for some people it just takes longer than others, and that's okay. And I'm patient.
It looks like we're running out of time. So before we finish, you got anything else you want to add?
The last thing I would want to add is kind of just going back to streaming on Twitch and everything. I just want to say for anybody who's a streamer, it there are always going to be like good days and bad, but like at the end of the day, there's no community like Twitch. It's the best place to be. And I think it's really lucky that we all kind of found each other and found this platform. I think everybody who streams is so lucky it exists, because I think it's far and above a better platform than anything else that's out there. And I'm really grateful it exists, and I'm really excited and hopeful that a TwitchCon will happen at some point and I can hang out with all these people in person.